It's midnight in the frozen city of St. Petersburg. The streets are silent, and inside a royal palace, a secret party is being prepared. Party for just one guest. Cakes and wine are set on a grand table, but they're laced with poison. The guest of honor, a man both worshipped and despised, is walking straight into a trap. That night, a group of powerful men plan to kill the most hated man in Russia, Grigori Yefimovich Rasputin, the so-called holy healer who had captured the soul of the Russian royal family. But who was Rasputin really? To understand his death, we must go back to the beginning. Rasputin was born in a poor Siberian village. A simple farmer, unable to read or write, living a quiet life with his wife and children. But at the age of 28, something changed. He claimed to have found God and left everything behind to wander across Russia as a pilgrim. Everywhere he went, people said he could heal the sick. They called him a holy man, a miracle worker touched by the divine. By 1905, his fame had reached the highest walls of the empire. The Empress of Russia herself summoned him. Her son, the heir to the throne, suffered from hemophilia, a deadly bleeding disease no one could cure. Rasputin prayed for him, and miraculously the boy recovered. From that moment on, Rasputin became the most trusted man in the royal court. The Empress believed he was sent by God, her family's savior. But to the public, things began to look very different. Behind closed doors, Rasputin lived a double life. He drank heavily, partied with women, and was often seen with prostitutes and noble ladies alike. Police began to follow him, recording every wild night, every scandal, every whisper of corruption. Despite it all, Rasputin's power only grew. He advised the royal family on politics, appointed ministers, and even influenced decisions during World War I. The people were furious. They believed their Tsar and Empress were puppets, controlled by an evil mystic. In November 1916, in a tense meeting of the Russian parliament, a politician named Vladimir Purishkevich finally shouted what everyone was thinking: "While Rasputin lives, Russia dies." Among the audience sat Prince Felix Yusupov, a wealthy aristocrat who hated Rasputin deeply. To him, Rasputin was a demon poisoning the empire. He knew what had to be done. A secret meeting was held. 5 men, Yusupov, Purishkevich, Grand Duke Dmitry, Dr. Lazavert, and Lieutenant Sukotin, came together with one goal: kill Rasputin. Their plan was simple but deadly. They would invite him to Yusupov's palace, feed him cakes and wine laced with cyanide, then burn the evidence and dump his body in the icy river. The stage was set. The bait? Yusupov's beautiful wife, Irina. He told Rasputin she was hosting a small party, and that she wanted to meet him. Rasputin couldn't resist. December 29, 1916, the night of the assassination. The city slept under a blanket of snow. Inside the palace, candles flickered, music played softly, and the poisoned cakes waited on a silver tray. At midnight, Rasputin arrived. He wore his long black coat and a crooked smile. Down in the basement, Yusupov welcomed him with wine and small talk. Minutes passed, then hours, but Rasputin refused to eat. He barely touched the wine. Yusupov grew nervous. This was not going to plan. Finally, Rasputin took a few bites of cake and a sip of the poisoned wine. The killers waited. 15 minutes, 30, an hour. Nothing. Rasputin was completely fine, laughing, drinking, as if death itself had no power over him. Panic spread among the men upstairs. The poison had failed. Yusupov grabbed his pistol, walked back into the room, and fired a single shot. Rasputin collapsed, lifeless, or so they thought. The men began to clear the evidence. But moments later, footsteps. Rasputin rose from the floor, his eyes wide open, blood dripping from his chest. He staggered toward the door, trying to escape. Purishkevich chased after him into the courtyard, firing wildly through the snow. 2 shots missed, then 2 more. Finally, Rasputin fell, his body motionless in the freezing night. The man who wouldn't die was dead at last. They wrapped his body in a curtain, drove through the sleeping city, and threw him into the icy river beneath the Petrovsky Bridge. By dawn, St. Petersburg was quiet again. But 2 days later, the ice cracked, and Rasputin's body surfaced. He had claw marks on his arms. It seemed he had still been alive when they threw him into the water. The killers were never truly punished. Yusupov was exiled to France, where he lived out his life in comfort. The others faded into history, but Rasputin's legend never died. To some, he was a saint. To others, the devil himself.